Firstly, I'd like to thank the school board, Superintendent McGee, and the community for allowing us to speak here. I am here on behalf of Mentor Rhode Island. We are a nonprofit organization that works in a couple of communities around the state. In addition to working with mentoring programs, we operate Woonsocket's school-based mentoring program, where we pair youth with adults who can support them through a mentoring relationship. We would like to thank the Woonsocket School Department for their continued commitment to programs like ours that uplift and elevate our students. Mentor Rhode Island has now partnered with the Woonsocket School Department for 14 years, and over the course of this time, we have had the pleasure of watching each student in our program flourish. Studies done by Mentor National show that youth who have mentored are 46% less likely than their peers to use illegal drugs, 55% less likely to skip a day of school, and 130% more likely to hold leadership positions in their future. Through surveys distributed at the end of each school year, Woonsocket educators have reported that 66% of our participants have improved attendance, 91% of our mentees show improvement in core subjects, and 95% of participants show improved self-esteem. When it comes to mentoring, the proof is there. I come today to ask the community of Woonsocket, along with the members of the school board, to continue putting youth first and to consider mentoring a youth in Woonsocket today. It is only October, and we have over 35 students on our wait list, waiting for an adult to come spend time with them. The commitment is small. Mentors and mentees meet for 1 hour per week on school grounds during school hours. The effect, though, as you can see, is enormous. If you're ever interested in mentoring a youth with us, please reach out to us at our main office. We have a phone number, 401-732-7700, or I will be here at the end of the meeting and would be happy to speak with you. Thank you once again for your time.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to address the school committee? Seeing none, we'll go into recognitions and announcements. Dr. McGee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to thank Mentor Rhode Island. They have had, we've had a wonderful partnership with them for over 13 years, and the work that they do with our students and their so appreciated and so necessary in our community. So I want to publicly thank them for the great partnership and the continued partnership that we hope to have with them for many, many years to come. I want to share with the committee a couple of letters, a couple of emails that I received from a parent in our community and a parent from another community. And oftentimes, we talk about the great students, and we certainly do have great students and student athletes here in Woonsocket, and we have some great staff here that work tirelessly for our families and for our students. And I just want to share two email letters that I did receive. So the first goes out to, is addressed to Mr. Notariani, our Chief Operating Officer, and this is from a parent in the district that says, "Hi Al, I'm so sorry this note to you is late. It is really a priority thank you that I should have sent sooner, so please forgive my delay. I cannot thank you enough for all the assistance you have provided for her student. Her condition is worsened, but you and your team have made that piece of our heartbreak easier by helping with technology, moving the technology, being so supportive, and putting up handicap parking signs. I have never seen such a quick and solid response ever. I really need you to know that this was not a simple project, not a small project for you or your team to complete. It is a huge life changer for this little girl and all of my family. I cannot express my gratitude enough. Thank you." And the second letter that I received is from a parent of a student in Rhode Island who competed against our student athletes recently. And it says, "Hello, I'm a parent of an East Greenwich High School football player. I want to let you know what a great team and set of coaches you have. Both teams played hard, but the best part of the game was the kindness and support the team showed to our quarterback, who played injured the entire game. All of them came over to our sideline after the game to show support. Your boys showed real sportsmanship and great character." And that's from Mrs. Molly Thomas, who is a parent, an East Greenwich parent. So again, I want to congratulate all of our wonderful student athletes. And these are just, two examples of staff in our district that go above and beyond
think that deserves a round of applause.
I think it does. So with those two letters, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my announcements and recognitions.
Very nice to see that we get good letters and emails now and again, because our students and our teachers do so well and our administrators do so well, and it's nice to see them recognized. I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the recognitions and announcements. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Next, I'll make a motion to approve the October 13, 2021 closed session minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. Any corrections, deletions, additions? Dr. McGee?
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus, Mrs. Costa,
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
Next, I'll make a motion to approve the October 13, 2021 open meeting minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Leclerc. Any additions, corrections? Hearing none. Dr. McGee?
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus, Mrs. Costa,
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
Next, we'll go into the consent agenda, and I'll make a motion to discuss and approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Burke. Does any member of the committee want to take any items separately and for discussion? Dr. McGee?
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus, Mrs. Costa,
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
Dr. McGee, we're going to turn it over to you for your superintendent's report.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to start with personnel matters. I want to announce to the committee that we added one full-time employee between the last school committee meeting and this evening. That's a special education, self-contained social studies ESL teacher at Villanova Middle School. And we've also added 3 non-certified staff members as well, in addition to just many, many hourly and stipend and extracurricular positions in the district that we, again, continue to add to fill positions in our district. Secondly, an update on the district attendance. As you know, last couple of meetings, I briefly spoke to the committee about our district attendance and the fact that we have been communicating with the Department of Education around the coding so that we are not being so that our students who are specifically quarantined are not counting against us in our attendance count. Mr. Notariani and the data department have had communication with RIDE, and there will be a change in coding. So our data department, along with our schools, will be going back a series of about 6 weeks to look at the specifically the students who were quarantined so that they are not marked as absent, but they are marked as present distance learning. So they're going to be working on that. That's a pretty tall task. It's going to take a lot of hours to do. So you know, it's there. They have started to work on it, and moving forward, those students who are quarantined but are working virtually with their teachers will not be counted as absent. So that will not be held against us. We're not the only district that was coding that way. So I just want the committee to understand that it wasn't something that we were doing incorrectly. It's just RIDE sort of changed the process after the school year started. So we're not the only ones in this boat, but we're doing our very best to rectify it. And with that, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, that concludes my report.
Just a question for you, Dr. McGee or Mr. Notariani. When can we expect the data to be available, the updated data on attendance? Will it be at our next meeting in November, since we only have one meeting?
Thank you, Chairman. I would say my best guess would be at this point, because we have to go back and retroactively fix 6 weeks worth of data in one of the larger districts. My best guess would be I think we'd have an accurate picture maybe the end of November, beginning of December. It's
So
going to
it
take,
will be at our December meeting that we should hear
I am
the
hopeful that
statistics.
we will aim to do it sooner, but my hope is we'll have it for the beginning. Now that we have clear direction from RIDE, it's with exactly what we do. They were pretty clear on Tuesday of last week what we got to start doing.
Will the data be rolled forward right through that point? So we're going back right now, but now we're also taking attendance as we're going along each and every day. So will that data be available as part of the whole?
So we've begun the process of configuring Skyward to take the attendance based on the new rules that we were informed of last week. That process there should be concluded this week. We will have directions with screenshots sent out to the main office and the teachers so they know how to take the attendance moving forward. And then we will begin the process of going back retroactively. And as Dr. McGee alluded to, it's going to be a very intensive process involving the data department, the data team, building principals, building secretaries, school nurses to cull through the data of everyone that was quarantined, then to match that with their attendance records and then retroactively fix it. So at this point, that's why it's hard for me to, I'm not trying to be elusive, it's hard for me to give you an exact date because we have to cull through all of this data that's occurred for the last 6 weeks and the last week that's just occurred. It's taken us time to configure Skyward. So, but once we've done all of that, we should be able to give you a pretty accurate picture as to what our attendance looks like, accounting for the new coding.
Try to hold your feet to the ground, Director. Will the data be ready at our December meeting, which is in the middle of December? Or is that still too soon, not only to go back, but to capture all the attendance figures from currently through December? Since we're going to be changing the model of the module that everyone will be using. So will we be able to see the updated attendance figures in our December meeting? Or are we still not, or are we looking at January?
I believe I can give you a better update in November as to whether it'll be December or January.
Fine. All right, we'll go with that. Anyone else? I'll make a motion to receive and place on file a superintendent's report. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. Dr. McGee?
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus, Mrs. Costa.
Yes.
Yes.
Next, we'll go into the subcommittee reports. We have one. Mr. Leclerc and I attended the facilities subcommittee meeting recently, and I'll ask our director to take us through the agenda.
Thank you, Chairman. So the facilities meeting occurred on October 18th. Our first agenda item was the school building committee 5-year capital plan update, which we walked the facilities subcommittee through. We were presently at our status and the status of the school building committee, which had met prior to this meeting, and we're going to talk about later in this agenda this evening. We then talked about facilities projects, the control pumps at the high school, the Thunder Mist project, which is underway to renovate that area of the high school to bring the Thunder Mist people back into the school building. We talked about the repairs to the burn-in roof, playground repairs, the status update with parking lot repairs and how we're going to fold that into the capital plan, Summer Street School turning into a storage facility, the high school auditorium project and the status as to where we are with that and our partnership with the Rotary Club, RGB projects and contracts. We then moved on to the next agenda item, which is inspection reports. We talked about the elevator inspections and our current process in terms of moving over to a new vendor that is going to support us in terms of elevator repairs. As the committee may recall, we've had some spotty service in the past, and we're looking to improve that. We talked about the fire inspection reports by the fire marshal, and we were almost at the conclusion of all the buildings here in the district. We talked about building electrical inspections that are coming up in the near future, safety and security audits, which is the checklist for safety and security done by the SROs and the fire department and facilities. And we talked about the future radon inspections, which will occur starting sometime in December. We then had a discussion about transportation regarding where we are with drivers, potential discussion in the future regarding current routes, future routes, and how we might want to reroute things in the district to be more efficient or to open up more opportunities for students to have a greater opportunity to ride the bus, student qualifications for transportation, number of buses, and traffic flow. And some of those topic items will be coming forward to several of the other subcommittees and potentially to the full school committee in the future. And then the last item was the Trust Safety Committee, which did not meet for the month of October. There was no update for that. So that concludes the facility subcommittee agenda for the 18th.
Thank you, Mr. Notariani. Any school committee member have any questions for him or for us? Dr. McGee, roll call. I'll make a motion to receive, place on file the facilities update. Dr. McGee.
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus, Mrs. Costa.
Yes.
Yes.
Next, we'll go into conferences and discussions, and I'll ask Ms. Morel to give us the special education update.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Below is the special education enrollment snapshot as of October 1st, 2021. And this is all the information that is tracked out of Skyward and reported to the Rhode Island Department of Education through our state reporting module. As of October 1st is a total of 1,483 students receiving special education services within our schools from pre-K to 12. This does not include our out-of-district or our transfer program or our pre-K in the Head Starts. This number represents approximately 27% of our total enrollment population, which is about 5,500 students. This is a decrease about 57 students from last June when we started pulling this data. We also, in our transition program, there has been a slight increase. There is currently 25 students in that program, and that program services students from 18 to 22. Last year in June, there was only 17 students in there, so the students are getting older, so that would increase our enrollment. And currently, in our out-of-district placements, we are at 113 students. Last year in June, we were up to 154. So there is a slight decrease in our out-of-district population. Further down on the second page is the breakdown by grade from pre-K to 12 of the total students and the IEP counts and the percentages. Any questions or concerns?
The decrease in the out-of-district students, is that due to graduations?
This year,
I think that's due to, I would have thought it could go up, but
yep, that absolutely could go up with the social emotional needs that we're seeing right now.
right.
We've had a lot of students graduate. We've had a lot of students move out of Woonsocket. We've also brought some students back in from our out-of-district placements. And also there have been one or two that have dropped out. But for the most part, the majority of them have moved out of Woonsocket.
Any questions for Ms. Morel? I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the special education update. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next, I'll ask Mr. Perrier to give us the financial update.
Chairman, in front of the school committee this evening is the fiscal update for September 2021. Currently, the school department is showing a $243,000 surplus. Some financial highlights. Currently, on the revenue side, unrestricted state revenue is projected to be $79,000 over budget. When the final state aid number was finalized in July of 21, this led to a bump over what we originally budgeted. So that $79,000 will be in addition to what we budgeted for when we developed this budget in 21. All the other revenues are currently on target projection-wise. On the expenditure side, all regular salaries are projected to be $221K under budget at this time. And when netted with the employee turnover allowance, this will put salaries $807,000 over budget. As a reminder, all vacant positions are encumbered as though they will be paid throughout the year. And additionally, the district has approximately $500,000 in ESSER funds budgeted for general fund salary reduction that has not yet been applied on this report. Substitute salaries line is currently projected to be $385,000 under budget. The district is having better success filling substitute positions, but the district is still trending below budget. After-school programs are currently projected to be $115K over budget at this time. Now that the district understands what after-school programs it will be using this year, we will amend this into our ESSER 2 budget and move all general fund expenses there. Medical expenses are currently $200K budget, under budget this time, but I'll caution that this is extremely early in the year, and I think the committee understands how medical can move very quickly from month to month. So this is something that we will continue to keep an eye on. And as a reminder to the committee, we did move over $1 million into our medical reserve at the close of last fiscal year. So we do have some money to work with there as well. Additional speech therapists and contracted nursing services have been needed to begin the school year due to need. When these expenses stabilize, we will be moving some or all of these expenses into ESSER 2. Currently, transportation is projected to be almost $700,000 under budget at this time. And this is really for two reasons. The first being we're not running our full complement of Durham buses at this time just because we can't get them staffed. We're hopeful to have them filled as soon as Durham can fill them to take some of the burden off transportation in the district now. And also, we, due to Ms. Morell's update and out-of-district placements being down, we're actually saving on our statewide transportation as well. And this dovetails into the savings, again, for out-of-district tuitions. As Ms. Morell mentioned, the out-of-district count is down significantly over last year. While she said 30 is not significant, 30 is pretty significant as far as the budget goes, as these are pretty high-value items. The only item that we don't have access yet to is the DCYF billings for the year. I'm estimating those DCYF billings to be about $250,000. So in reality, when we update this next month, I think the surplus will be closer to $1 million. But that still is a pretty comfortable surplus overall for the year as to how we're trending out right now. And then finally, we have some expenses on the general fund at this time for both technology and building improvements that we've made so far this fiscal year. Again, we have several options as far as moving the expense either to the technology fund, capital improvement fund, or through ESSER as well. Final note I'd like to make is the upcoming finance subcommittee meeting. We have one scheduled on November 17th. We're going to be discussing what the district has spent money on so far, the ESSER dollars, how we spent them so far, our ESSER dollars, our supplemental impact aid, how we're trending with our ESSER 2 expenses currently, and then we're going to get into a little bit of discussion on how we're going to be utilizing ESSER 3. I think that's going to be at our next finance subcommittee meeting. We'll have a layout of how these dollars have been spent, and we'll have a conversation in greater detail about those items then. If the school committee has any questions, I'd love to answer them now.
Just some observations, Mr. Perrier. Like you said, in the next facilities subcommittee meeting, we're going to be talking about ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 because some of the items that you've got listed here that could be moved or actually transferred to ESSER, we're talking $115,000 of after-school programs. We're talking additional speech therapists of some $300,000. We're talking contract nursing of some $400,000, just to speak of some of the items. So we're talking almost $1 million, and we're not even addressing all the items that could be moved over there.
Exactly. Currently, right now, ESSER 2, we left $1.5 million on the table unbudgeted in our ESSER 2 grant. So that's $1.5 million we have to basically apply however we see fit to these expenses. And that's considering all of our ESSER 2 expenses, which I can tell you everything we budgeted for, we haven't spent. So there's going to be more savings there as well. So we currently have a lot of flexibility with ESSER 2. We still have about $500,000 left in ESSER that we're going to empty out this year. And we have ESSER 3 coming up, which is going to be another chunk of change that we're going to have to spend as well. So we do have a lot of money coming in. And as we fill out these budgets and as we match up the expenses, we'll make moves between the general fund and between these grants to balance things out and get us to a balanced budget at the end of the year.
Just one more thing I want to highlight is the salaries. If we add the employee turnover allowance for unfilled position at this point, well, look, you were saying we got salaries are $807,000 over budget, but that's not exactly true, right?
No, that's correct.
Those are just an addition of two numbers because we got $500,000 that we can use from ESSER to use. On top of that, if all the positions aren't filled, we're not going to need that turnover allowance. So the overage may be zero.
Absolutely. We tend to run vacant positions throughout the year. When we do the fiscal update, we report out as all positions are filled, because to kind of get a maximum number that we're going to be committed to for salaries. Every month that goes by, you're going to see this surplus or this deficit decrease just because of the vacancies that we have. We know that we no longer can be liable for those expenses because the time has passed. So the deficit will slowly decrease month over month, with the hope getting back to zero by the time we get to June,
Sure.
which I think is very reasonable at this point.
I think it's, the facility subcommittee meeting is going to be very important because it's going to allow you to revise the budget or the actual and transfer monies out where they belong, or to categorize them where they belong, whether a general fund or ESSA fund. And this way we'll have a clearer picture as to where we are operationally.
This budget year is going to be very interesting because of all the additional funds coming in from the outside. We're going to have to be agile, and we're going to have to make adjustments from month to month to make sure we stay on top of that. But I'm very comfortable that both myself and my staff can take care of that and carry this budget forward throughout the year.
Any comments, questions for Mr. Perrier? Vice Chair Burke?
Just a quick question for our audience, Mr. Perrier. Could you just briefly explain what is ESSA? I mean, we're using it all the time, and I wonder if people really understand what it is and how are we able to use it. Very simply, 2 sentences.
You're going to make me come up with the acronym, huh?
No, just,
That's a tricky one. I haven't been asked that question in a while. I think I forgot that one. Yes, correct.
Say it again, Nick. We didn't hear. Into the mic, please.
ESSER means Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund.
And when I reference that those are the federal dollars that we're talking about that have been passed in regards to the CARES Act.
Thank you, Ms. Doggone, for that.
and what allows us to transfer that money into our,
ESSER currently has a look-back date all the way back to the start of the pandemic. So basically, if any expense, we can actually go back prior fiscal years at this point. I feel comfortable where we closed out last fiscal year, so I don't think we need to go back to prior fiscal years. But the way that the ESSER grant works is any expenses that you've incurred since the inception of the pandemic, you can go back and then claim reimbursement on.
excellent, thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Costa?
So if there's funds that are left over, do those like go somewhere? Do they roll over somewhere else? Do they cover other things that we didn't obviously see for?
That's a good question, Ms. Costa. Currently, there is a deadline on the ESSER funds to be spent by 2023, September 2023. So that's the deadline that we're shooting for, because we don't want to be giving any money back then. I think about a year from now, we're going to have a better idea if that deadline's true or not. I think they're saying that deadline right now, but if I was to wager, there may be an extension when we get to the end of it, just based on a couple of things. It's really, really difficult to fill positions right now. And number two, it's really difficult to get goods and services right now. I don't know if you've been down to Target lately and looked at the shelves. They're pretty bare.
Yeah.
We're struggling with paper right now, as a matter of fact. We were able to start getting some paper in, but locating paper is very difficult right now. So I think with those factors, there may be an extension to the deadline. Again, it's a little too early to tell. We're going to proceed like there is no extension. We're going to want to definitely shoot for spending all that out. But I think as the months go by, I think we're going to get a little more clarity to really what's going to happen when we get to the end of this.
Okay, thank you.
There's even been rumblings that there could be an ESSA 4. And I wouldn't be surprised because of the delays in everything that we're seeing and the difficulties that, never mind us as a district, but cities and towns to try to spend all that money to identify everything they're going to spend. It seems it's delaying projects that would have been done and paid for by now. I haven't even started yet because of a lack of material and workforce.
Yes, correct. It's really proving to be difficult right now. So hopefully in the coming months that will get a little better, but who knows? So it's going to make for an interesting year budget-wise, but we're up to the challenge. So we're ready. We're ready to take it on.
Anyone else? I'll make a motion to receive and place on file a financial update. Do we have a second?
Second?
Second by Mrs. Costa. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next, we'll go into School Building Capital Committee update. I'll turn it over to Mr. Notoriani and Mr. Perrier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we did on October 18th, we had convened the first in a long time of the School Building Capital Committee. And we had a discussion. We had members present from RIDE, from RGB Architects, from City Point Partners, our owner's project management team, and several members of the school committee.
And the mayor.
And the mayor. And yes, absolutely, the mayor was there as well. And we had our initial discussion about where we were with the status of our capital planning projects, that our Stage 1 application has been submitted to RIDE, and that we are now working on our Stage 2 application, which entails an in-depth analysis of the needs here in the district. We're having community partner meetings. For last night, we had a visioning meeting for the elementary level. We have another visioning meeting tomorrow evening, and a subsequent one on next Tuesday, I believe, to receive community feedback from parents and guardians and whoever would like to attend to kind of tell us what they think our schools should look like for the next, several decades based on what we do in the capital planning. So we're in the middle of that process right now, and we're exploring when we're going to submit our Stage 2 application, which window we're going to avail ourselves to. And then in speaking to that, we also discussed funding mechanisms and what we can and can't do with the capital funding and what opportunities we had available. And at this point, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Mr. Perrier, to kind of discuss the financial piece to this project.
And as for the financial piece, currently we are investigating all sources right now. We haven't really narrowed anything down because really depending on which way the phase 2 approach goes, that's going to dictate what we need to do as far as funding goes. So if we're looking for something larger, we may need some additional funds from another source. If we're looking to do smaller projects, we may be able to handle that in-house. Now, as we further develop the Stage 2 plan, we'll have a better idea of what we're going to need to do, and we'll report that back to the committee as those decisions are made.
Part of that meeting, wasn't there, we had a choice to either finish the plan or submit it by February of next year, or to delay it till September. If we were doing smaller projects, a February date might make sense, but if we're looking for larger, long-term projects, then maybe that investigation is going to lead us to a September date to submit, because this is the one opportunity we have, and looking at our structural needs in the district, where we may not have that opportunity again. So there's a lot of evaluation that's going to be going on in the next several months by this committee before it goes to facilities and then to the whole school committee. Am I correct in saying that?
Absolutely correct.
Anyone have any comments for either Mr. Notoriani, Mr. Perrier? I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the School Building Capital Committee update. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Leclerc. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next, we go into unfinished business, and we have several policies for looking for second passage. So I'll begin with a motion to discuss and approve the amendments to the criminal background check BCI policy. We have a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Leclerc. Are there any further comments on this policy? Dr. McGee?
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus, Mrs. Costa,
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
Next, I'll make a motion to discuss and approve the amendments to the bus transportation policy for second passage. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Mrs. Costa. Any additional comments on this policy? Dr. McGee?
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus, Mrs. Costa,
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
Next, I'll make a motion to discuss and approve the amendments to the social media policy for second passage. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Burke. Any additional comments or discussion items? Dr. McGee?
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus, Mrs. Costa,
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
Next, I'll make a motion to discuss and approve the video surveillance policy for second passage. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Leclerc. Any additional comments on this policy? Dr. McGee?
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus, Mrs. Costa,
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
Next, I'll make a motion to discuss and approve the bus idling policy for second passage. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Leclerc. Any additional comments? Dr. McGee?
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus, Mrs. Costa,
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
Next, I'll make a motion to discuss and approve the animal policy for second passage. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. Any additional comments? Dr. McGee?
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus, Mrs. Costa,
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
I will go into new business. I'll make a motion to approve the amendments to the systems application specialist and to post said position. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Costa. Dr. McGee?
Mr. Chairman, so you and the committee have on your Chromebook a fiscal impact regarding the systems application specialist. The amendment to the last meeting where the committee approved this position is in the salary for the position. As the committee is aware, this position will be funded through ESSER 2. And we are looking to increase the salary based on the fact that the position has been posted and we haven't had any applicants. And we feel as though we may not get any applicants, or we may not get any applicants who, who might be qualified for the position unless we raise the salary. So the salary is before you, and the amendment is going from $56,000 to approximately $70,000 to try to basically be competitive with other districts. For example, the competitive going rate for this position is in the $70,000 range. So with one district in particular, in Smithfield's schools, that position goes for $80,000. So that is the amendment and the reason for the amendment, Mr. Chairman.
Any comments? Dr. McGee?
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus, Mrs. Costa,
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
Since there's no other items on our agenda, I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:40 PM. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.